Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Dominic and I am an award-winning photographer, and welcome to my review of the ZEISS 55mm f1.8 lens. It's a full frame lens and I'm using the Sony a6500 to review this lens. I've been using it for over a year, so let's get right into what my opinions are about this lens. So the lens is on the pricier side. It is just under $1,000. You can find it for much cheaper, like close to $700, but it just depends. It's usually around the $800 mark to a $900 mark. So it's just under $1,000. So it is a little bit on the pricier side. This is the first lens that I've been using on the Sony a6500 since I got it last year. The video up here will show you guys exactly my reactions. These are really two crappy videos. I just filmed them right when I got the lens and the camera. They're really bad, but I'll link them in the eye if you guys really want to check it out. But this is an actual one-year review, exactly how I feel and everything you guys need to know before buying this lens. So since I am shooting on the Sony a6500, 55mm is actually, if you multiply by 1.6, because that is the crop factor of the APS-C to full frame, it's around 83mm, so it's a more portrait lens than it is an all, like, you can do whatever you want with it. It is more specifically a portrait lens on the Sony a6500, but I still do pretty much everything for my day-to-day photography on this lens. I love it, and let me tell you guys exactly why. This lens is super sharp. I'll be showing you guys photos and videos throughout this whole video, so feel free to watch through the whole thing so you don't miss a photo. They're going to be varying a lot by topic, night photography, motion photography, video, just anything that I have. I will show you guys how this lens actually performs in something that you might be interested in, because over the past year I've been shooting a lot of different things so I can get good quality images off this lens and actually see how this lens excels and where it actually needs improvement. So there is no doubt about it, the sharpness of this lens is super good. This glass is what you expect from German glass. It's really high quality. It is worth the price tag. The little under $1,000 is a very sharp lens. I heard that there were cheaper options, but I'm just a really big fan of the build quality and the sharpness of this lens. It's what you expect if you're paying $1,000 for a lens. Chromatic aberration is something I could really live without. It does get pretty bad in some really high contrasty areas where your darkest points and the lightest points meet. It is pretty bad. Sometimes you do see some pink and green color fringing, but it's really not something you expect if you're paying $1,000 for a piece of glass. But it's also not that big of a deal because I haven't heard anyone complain about having chromatic aberration in my photography, and it's not always there. It's just like in specific times, and you'd have to like really zoom in to look in your photos in detail to see the chromatic aberration. But it's just something that I wanted to mention since it is kind of an issue, but not really an issue. It's just inconvenience. So since we're on the topic of some lens calibration, let's talk about distortion. Distortion isn't that bad on this lens since it is an equivalent of an 83mm on my APS-C sensor. It's not that bad. Lines are straight, everything is not that bad, but if you do apply the preset inside of Lightroom, the 55mm ZEISS f1.5 preset, it straightens everything out even more, and it's generally not that big of a deal. I sometimes leave it off and no one really notices. It's not that bad, lines are straight, it's a really telephoto lens, so there's nothing to really worry about there. And then also that preset will remove some of the vignetting, and the vignetting's not that bad. I've seen some reviews and some photos of like people talking about that the vignetting's really bad. That preset will remove the vignetting, and there's no, like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it, alright? The vignetting should be the last thing you should be worrying about because it's not that big of a deal on this lens. What you should be worrying about is the autofocus in video mode. If you're recording video, you might want to be aware that there is a kind of like slow focusing. It's not slow focusing, but it's not fast focusing. So it's like in the middle. It's a medium speed focusing. There are hiccups when autofocusing in video mode. Photo mode, it's a little less big of a deal. It is much faster in photo mode, but in video mode, it does change focus a little bit on the slower side if your objects are pretty far apart. Now let's get into low light. This lens, the f1.8 of this lens, really makes the low light shine. When this lens is open to the f1.8, it does let in a lot of light. You can shoot either faster. Since it is fast glass, you can shoot faster, but you can also introduce a lot of light. So in your night photography, you can have like a lot of bokeh. Whew, the bokeh. And the f1.8 is awesome, by the way. But yeah, the low light's pretty good on this lens. Since we're talking about already what's on the lens, the only manual control on this lens would be the manual focus ring. If you want to focus manually, either in video or photo mode, it's very smooth, it doesn't stop. It's a continuous, very smooth ring for your focus. So if you're into really smooth rings, this is the focusing ring for you. Now I've tested this lens here in extreme weathers. Since I do live in Chicago, it can get really cold outside, but also really hot. The lens is fine. It's been many adventures out in the snow. It's gotten wet and the sealing on here is great. The lens doesn't fog up as bad. It is metal, so it does get a little colder than the actual camera body itself, and it does get a little like moisture on it. But once it dries up, once you warm it up a little bit back to room temp, as long as you know how to take care of your camera lens, you're gonna be fine. Also, if you are a video creator, this lens doesn't really have image stabilization built in the lens, but your Sony does a really good job of it, and I'll talk about the Sony's stabilization in another video. But just keep in mind that if you are looking for this lens specifically for video, there's some autofocus glitches there, and there is no image stabilization inside this lens. So overall, what do I think about this lens? I really recommend this in your arsenal of lenses. This is my first lens. I've played with 70-200s, manual lenses, ultra wides. I've played with many lenses, but I just love the picture quality that this lens gets me. This lens, bang for the buck, is insanely good for what I use it for. I use it almost every single day, well not really, but multiple times a week, every week. I use my camera, so this lens really gets me some really high photo quality and video quality, and I love this lens and I couldn't recommend it anymore. There is flaws, but it's unless you're going to buy the best of the best of the best of the best for like crazy amounts of money, this lens is perfect. 55mm with an equivalent on an APS-C of 83mm, so if you're on full frame it's 55mm, but the lens is light. It's less than 1 pound, it's super light, it's German glass, German quality, ZEISS certified. Well, ZEISS made it, but they're the quality controlled lens. It's great, I really recommend it. This video is not sponsored by ZEISS or Sony. This lens is great. I know a bunch of photographers that shoot Sony that have this lens because it's a must-have lens. Alright, let's stop praising this lens and let's end this video. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be leaving a non-affiliated link in the description of this video, so make sure to go check this video out. Check this link out, sorry. It will be an Amazon link and a B&H link and an Anorama link, just so you guys could have easy access to whatever you guys like. But thank you guys for watching. My name is Dominic Skodenko, and I am an award-winning photographer that just wanted to review this lens a year after using it. Alright, see you guys in the next video that I really don't know when it's going to be. Uploading schedule is really not a thing this year, but hopefully higher quality videos, but alright, see you guys next time, whenever that is. Bye.